Hello, you're watching Gravitas. I'm Shreya Upadhyay. Let's get started. On Gravitas tonight, we get you the latest on the bloody war that has once again erupted between Pakistan and Afghanistan. The weekend saw clashes between the two neighbours as Pakistani strikes killed at least 36 civilians, including children, a day after a massive attack in Karachi killed Pakistani paramilitary personnel. We also continue to track the Israel-Lebanon tensions. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defied his friend and ally once again and attacked Lebanon. We get you all the details of that tonight. And here in India, even as probe continues in the shocking Ayodhya Ram Temple embezzlement controversy, a look at how the life of the key accused changed to one where luxury became the norm. All of this coming up ahead. While Pakistan claims to be a peacemaker, ladies and gentlemen, in global wars, it seems that it cannot handle its own backyard. As Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif play mediators between America and Iran, their own military has been striking civilians in Afghanistan. The bloody clash between Pakistan and Afghanistan reignited over the weekend after about a month of calm, with Pakistani strikes killing at least 36 civilians, including children, and wounding 163 others. Three eastern provinces of Afghanistan, Paktika, Kunar and Paktia, were targeted by Pakistani military a day after three members of the Sindh Rangers, which is a Pakistani paramilitary force, were killed at their headquarters in Karachi. Pakistani officials said that they had arrested an Afghan while three others died during the attack. Hamidullah Fitrat, Taliban government's deputy spokesperson, gave out details of the latest Pakistani strikes. In Mandukhel village in Paktia province, Pakistani fighter jets bombed a civilian home, resulting in the death of an elderly sheikh and a child. When villagers gathered to rescue the wounded, the aircraft targeted them with a second bombing, leading to the death of 28 civilians and the injury of 158 others. Meanwhile, in the Valosht village in Paktika province, the airstrikes targeted the home of one civilian, resulting in the death of 6 people, most of them women and children. In Barolo village of the Kunar province, the home of one civilian was bombed. Now, both sides, Pakistan and Taliban, summoned each other's charge d'affaires to protest this deadly violence. Pakistan's foreign ministry said that demarches were issued in light of the fact that Afghan nationals participated in the Karachi attack. While Pakistan's information minister Ataullah Tarar said that 29 militants were killed in the strikes, also adding that this was a response to, quote, recent terrorist attacks against innocent people, the Taliban government condemned what they called a cowardly act and a crime and atrocity. Former President Hamid Karzai condemned Pakistan's airstrikes, calling them a violation of Afghanistan's sovereignty and international law. He urged Pakistan to, quote, abandon its policy of confrontation and double standards toward extremism and instead engage with Afghanistan. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan has now confirmed that at least 28 civilians were killed and 49 were injured in airstrikes carried out in Paktia, Paktika and the Kunar provinces of Afghanistan. Remember, on Saturday night, Jamaat-ul-Ahrar, which is a breakaway faction of the TTP or Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, claimed responsibility for the Karachi attack. The attack was the first major strike in Karachi since October 2024, when 2 Chinese engineers were killed in a suicide bombing near the Karachi airport. That attack was claimed by the Balochistan Liberation Army. Now, the two countries, remember, have been embroiled in a bloody, violent conflict since early this year. Islamabad has accused the Taliban of harboring militants who carry out deadly attacks inside Pakistani territory. But Taliban denies this accusation. Hundreds of people have been killed in cross-border fighting since February, when Afghanistan launched retaliatory strikes after Pakistan had carried out airstrikes inside Afghan territory. Several rounds of talks have been held, but a lasting ceasefire has not been achieved yet. The two neighbours agreed to a ceasefire in March this year, but there have been sporadic attacks since then. In fact, China hosted the two sides in April and later said that Pakistan and Afghanistan have both agreed not to escalate their conflict and to explore a solution. Clearly, that hasn't happened. An uneasy ceasefire prevails in West Asia, even as Israel, Lebanon and the US signed a trilateral framework with an endeavor to end the conflict in Lebanon. The ground reality is stark. Defying the ceasefire, the IDF continues to pound locations across southern Lebanon. Late on Sunday night, the IDF claimed to have struck 3 alleged headquarters of the Hezbollah in the Nabatiyeh and Meidon areas of southern Lebanon. It asserted that the strikes were carried out in response to the continued harm being meted out to its forces. Israeli forces also struck what it described as a launcher of Hezbollah. Now, apart from this, Israel also claimed to have destroyed an underground tunnel infrastructure in the Majdal zone area. As per the IDF, this underground complex was built using technology and expertise of Iran and housed hundreds of weapons. Despite the growing outrage over IDF's operations, the Benjamin Netanyahu-led government of Israel has repeatedly stated that Israeli forces will remain in southern Lebanon and peace can be achieved only through disarmament of Hamas.
Peace is tied to freeing Lebanon from the de facto Iranian occupation under which it has lived for decades. The Israel Defense Forces is in the security zone in southern Lebanon only because of the ongoing attacks and threats against Israel and its citizens by Hezbollah from Lebanese territory.
Now, amid this, Hezbollah is up in arms over the recently signed framework deal, describing it as humiliating and unenforceable. Billboards bearing the Lebanese flag, Lebanon First slogan were defaced near the group's stronghold in Beirut's southern suburbs as a mark of protest. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Ghalibaf, revealed that Iran and Lebanon have agreed to establish a conflict control unit involving the US to monitor the implementation of the recently signed Iran-US MOU regarding Lebanon. Now, as per Lebanon's health ministry, 4,247 people have been killed in Lebanon since the beginning of Israel's war, whereas over 12,000 others have been wounded. Meanwhile, the Lebanese president, Joseph Aoun, has told the U.S. CENTCOM chief that he was determined to deploy the country's army up to the border with Israel. They also discussed the implementation of the framework agreement. Apart from Lebanon, Israel also launched attacks on Syria and Gaza. According to the IDF, it killed several armed terrorists in southern Syria. The last time when Israel had announced any kind of attack on Syria was more than 3 months ago, on the 20th of March. Earlier in the day, at least 3 Palestinians, including a child, were killed in central Gaza in an Israeli airstrike which hit a tent sheltering displaced people.
He went out to buy bread from the bakery, and the Israelis bombed him. We're supposed to be in a truce and living in safety, but there is no safe zone in Gaza. Gaza is destroyed, and the Arab countries and the world are just watching us. But no one is standing with us.
The IDF conducted multiple strikes in Gaza over the weekend as well. Visuals showed smoke rising behind buildings in the aftermath of a strike in central Gaza. The IDF claimed to have killed multiple Hezbollah fighters, including Ismail al-Masri and Barham Abu Salem, in these strikes. With Israel simultaneously launching attacks on 3 fronts, it is amply clear that tensions in the region are unlikely to ease anytime soon. The growing bonhomie between US President Donald Trump and the Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa has perhaps hit its first real sticky wicket: how to deal with Hezbollah. For the first time in years, Israel, Syria and Lebanon's new leadership appears to share a common goal, and that is curbing Hezbollah's military power. That rare alignment has fueled speculation about a new regional security equation. But it has also sparked talk of a possible 3-front offensive. Under the scenario, Israel would press from the south, the Lebanese army would move from the north, and the Syrian forces would advance through the Bekaa Valley from the east, leaving Hezbollah surrounded. Earlier this month, Donald Trump had said that Syria could take the lead against Hezbollah if Israel could not finish the job. Listen in.
And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it.
Now, Trump's remarks perhaps also sent a message to Iran that Washington has no intention of pushing the Hezbollah issue to the back burner, even as it pursues broader regional diplomacy. But al-Sharaa swiftly distanced himself from the idea. The Syrian president insisted that Damascus wants to end the conflict and not open a new front in Lebanon. According to reports in the Arabic media, for a country emerging from 14 long years of civil war, al-Sharaa's priority is likely to focus on reconstruction, foreign investment and economic connectivity instead of another military campaign. That difference in priorities has perhaps exposed the first real strain in the Trump-al-Sharaa understanding. While Washington sees Hezbollah as an urgent security challenge, Damascus perhaps believes that stability is the key to Syria's recovery. According to Arabic media reports, to rebuild the country, Syria's leaders need investment, which obviously comes from stability. Now, in this context, they claim disarming the Hezbollah next door without disorder and bloodshed is a Syrian priority. Now, this three-way military option that they claim has not been ruled out completely. If diplomacy fails, a coordinated operation involving Israel, Lebanon, and Syria could still emerge. And there is historical context to this. Remember, Syria's military left Lebanon back in 2005 after a 30-year occupation. So for now, the White House appears to prefer a diplomatic outcome, while al-Shara remains focused on rebuilding Syria rather than fighting Hezbollah. All right, shifting our focus now, Russia has unleashed a firestorm across Ukraine a day after President Vladimir Putin sent out a strong message saying that Ukrainian deep strikes will not force Russia into the negotiating table and make them look weak. Despite President Putin, admitting to a crunching fuel crisis in Russia, he maintains that Moscow's conditions for a deal are still non-negotiable. Our next report tells you what's been happening on the ground. Take a look.
In conditions of a catastrophic personnel shortage, Ukraine's armed forces apparently believe this could be a salvage for them. But salvaging the Kyiv regime is not part of our plans. At the same time, we treat every proposal coming from that side with close attention. I say this without any irony.
Russian President Vladimir Putin sent out a strong signal to Ukraine and its Western allies. Saving the Kyiv regime is no more Russia's plan. A day later, Moscow has unleashed a new missile and drone blitz across Ukraine, rejecting Ukraine's call to halt long-range strikes. Windows smashed, doors blown out. These images of a gutted passenger minibus struck by a Russian drone in Zaporizhia is a stark reminder of aerial assaults. that aerial assaults are far from over. For the people scrambling for cover, it was a nightmare in a broad light.
I heard an FPV, first-person view drone, buzzing in the distance, but I didn't pay attention. There was an explosion. I immediately was in panic. All the airbags deployed. I was covered by the airbags. Then, when I opened my eyes, there was a minibus in front of me. Drone hit its rear door, the upper right corner.
While Zelensky has accused Moscow of terrorism and killing its civilians, Russia has maintained that it never strikes civilians or civilian-related infrastructure. Ukraine, on the other hand, is not backing down. Its deep strikes over the last few months have left Russia grappling with major fuel crisis. An admission to this effect has been made by President Vladimir Putin. This is for the first time he has detailed about the extent to which Ukraine's deep strike has hampered Russia's fuel production.
As I already said, there is damage, but all damaged facilities are repaired fairly quickly, and any problems that arise are not critical. Everything is functioning reliably and with a large safety margin.
As both sides struggle with energy crisis, Putin has hardened his stance, saying strikes won't force Russia into talks from weaker position and that the conditions for a Ukraine peace deal are non-negotiable. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Japan is battling a shadow war in its boardrooms, research labs, computer networks, and shipping routes. The country's biggest secrets are now reportedly becoming prime targets for foreign spies, technology smugglers, and international crime syndicates. From stealing Japanese industrial secrets to illegal AI chip transfers and fentanyl trafficking. Tokyo reportedly believes that a silent war is already underway. And now, Japan is taking measures, both to safeguard itself as well as striking back. According to a Bloomberg report, Japan believes that the next battlefield is economic espionage. Officials say that spies are targeting advanced technology, sensitive business information, and critical supply chains. Recent cases have reportedly exposed how foreign networks are operating inside and around Japan. Investigators have uncovered attempts to steal Japanese industrial secrets from companies. Authorities, in fact, have also traced routes used to smuggle advanced NVIDIA artificial intelligence chips to China through Japan. Another investigation linked Japanese connections to illegal fentanyl exports that ultimately led to America's deadly opioid crisis. The spy threat is not limited to corporate offices. Remember, reports claim that Japan's self-defense forces unknowingly used USB drives infected with malware linked to China, raising concerns over cyber espionage and military security. Now, these cases have reportedly convinced Tokyo that foreign actors see Japan not only as a target, but also as a gateway for covert operations. To counter these threats, Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi is launching a powerful new investment screening body. This new panel will reportedly closely examine foreign investments that could threaten Japan's national security. Authorities will also have wider powers to investigate investments linked to foreign governments and state-controlled companies. Takaichi has repeatedly warned that China remains a major economic security challenge for Japan. She has also claimed that China's influence over global supply chains combined with its intelligence laws raises concerns for countries that are trying to protect sensitive technologies. But Japan says that the threat is bigger than any one country. Cyber attacks reportedly continue to target Japanese networks from across the world. Investigators say that many hackers hide behind fake digital identities and IP addresses, making it extremely difficult to trace the real source of an attack. Tokyo's biggest concern now is reportedly that thousands of small firms, which power Japan's manufacturing sector, may not have the resources to stop the next spying attempt before valuable technology disappears. With that, let's tell you what's coming up on the other side of Gravitas. Yet another deal seems to be benefiting Donald Trump personally. His sons are widely speculated to gain from the US-Kazakhstan deal, as well as Howard Lutnick. Details on the other side. And Britain's Princess Kate Middleton has emerged as an inspiration for cancer survivors as she climbed 3 different peaks in a single day to raise charity. First, let's talk about Britain's new naval strategy. Britain is preparing for one of its biggest shifts in naval strategy in decades. It is replacing costly destroyers with hybrid combat ships, ships that are designed to command fleets of drones in the air, on the sea and underwater. The move reflects a growing global trend to adopt autonomous warfare even as budget pressures continue to plague UK's defence plans. Our next report tells you more.
The British government will order at least 6 new common combat vessels as part of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's defence investment plan. The British Navy's first hybrid warships will replace the aging Type 45 destroyers and are expected to enter service in the early 2030s. The British government says the ships will coordinate drones in the air, on the surface and beneath the sea, extending the Navy's reach, resilience and firepower without a matching rise in crew size or operating costs. According to the British government, the vessels will operate alongside 8 Type 26 and 5 Type 31 frigates to counter Russian activity in the North Atlantic and the Arctic, protect critical underwater infrastructure and strengthen NATO's deterrence. The plan follows the British Navy's interception of a Russian Shadow Fleet oil tanker in the English Channel earlier this month. The defense blueprint also expands investment in autonomous military technology, including unmanned ground vehicles for frontline resupply and casualty evacuation. The plan comes amid increasing debate over UK's defence spending. Former UK Defence Secretary John Healey said the proposed funding increase fell short of military requirements before leaving office. His successor, Dan Jarvis, has backed the revised package. The development also comes at a time when reports early this month claimed Britain is scaling back plans to acquire nuclear-capable fighter jets, while all its Navy attack submarines are currently in port for maintenance or repairs amid budgetary constraints. UK Defence Secretary says the government remains on course to publish the defence investment plan before next month's NATO summit.
The Prime Minister has been very clear that we are going to publish the defence investment plan before the NATO summit in Ankara, and that's what I'm working to achieve.
Turkey's TCG Anadolu became the world's first operational drone carrier. Portugal is building Europe's first dedicated drone carrier, and China has already launched an autonomous seaborne drone carrier. The message is perhaps clear. The next generation of naval power will depend as much on autonomous systems as on traditional warships. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Yet another deal that America has made seems to be benefiting President Trump personally. This time, it's the agreement between United States and Kazakhstan to develop a massive tungsten mine. It is facing scrutiny after reports reveal that businesses connected to the US President Donald Trump and the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick could benefit from the mining project. According to a New York Times report, businesses linked to the families of American President and the Commerce Secretary could benefit from this project, while the Trump administration considers potential federal financing. The report also adds that the agreement gives Washington access to one of the world's largest untapped tungsten deposits in Kazakhstan. Now, tungsten is considered a strategic mineral that is used in missile warheads, fighter aircraft, semiconductors, and other defense-related technologies, and that is why it becomes significant. Ahead of the agreement, the Trump administration approved preliminary applications for up to $1.6 billion in federal financing for this project. But the question is, how did the deal come together? Well, it was during a meeting at New York St. Regis Hotel in September of 2025, when Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick sat down with Kazakhstan's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. According to this report, Trump joined this discussion over phone, and he personally helped persuade the Kazakh president to greenlight the mining project. Documents reviewed by the New York Times show that private investment activity closely tracked the government negotiations. In fact, just weeks after the St. Regis meeting, Dominari Securities, which is an investment firm based in the Trump Tower and partly owned by Trump's eldest son, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump joined other investors in acquiring a 20% stake in a company which is related to the Kazakhstan project. The Kazakh deal was ultimately signed on the 6th of November last year. According to the report, businesses connected to either the Trump family or the Lutnick family have financial ties with at least 14 companies that are working on critical mineral projects that have received support from the federal government. The report has also prompted sharp criticism from the Democrats. However, the White House and the U.S. Commerce Department have rejected suggestions that the government decisions had been influenced by family business interests. According to the New York Times, none of the proposed $1.6 billion in government support for the Kazakhstan mining project has been disbursed yet, as the financing remains subject to additional approvals. All right, shifting our focus now to India, all the 8 accused in the Ram Temple donation embezzlement case will remain in judicial custody until the 13th of July. An Ayodhya local court has remanded all the accused to 14 days of judicial custody. Remember, the ongoing money trail investigation has already led to the recovery of approximately 80 lakh rupees in embezzled funds from the suspects. The ongoing probe has revealed a sudden and rather dramatic transformation in the lifestyles of the key accused in this case. Their lifestyles are now under scanner as they contradict their modest official salaries. The standard monthly salary for the donation counting staff ranges between 15 and 20,000 rupees per month. However, investigators noted a massive disparity in their assets. SIT and local police are probing the accumulation of high-value assets and luxury expenditures by the 8 arrested temple staff now. Now remember, at the center of this is Anukalp Mishra. He was responsible for counting and managing the donation funds for the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Trust. He has been identified as the mastermind behind this scam. Reports say that his family went from dire financial straits to amassing vast assets. And it happened within a few years of him joining the temple's donation counting team. His upscale lifestyle is now under probe. It includes a newly built farmhouse on his village outskirts, a house in Ayodhya valued around 65 lakh rupees, and bookings for a premium SUV. Now, as per locals, Anukalp Mishra wields considerable influence in the village and the surrounding areas. Prominent figures attended religious events organized by him. Anukalp's relatives have leveled several serious allegations. They claim that Anukalp's financial status improved dramatically after he secured a job at the temple. According to his relatives, Anukalp purchased an expensive flat in Noida, acquired land in multiple locations, and provided financial assistance to close relatives. They also allege that he used his influence to secure a job for his brother-in-law, Lavkush Mishra, within the temple administration. The FIR also names Lavkush as an accused. He lived in a rented accommodation, but he triggered suspicion after making a sudden purchase of a premium motorcycle worth over 1 lakh rupees. The police raided his residence and unearthed 10 to 12 lakh rupees in cash. The other accused are also being probed over their sudden purchase of land parcels worth over crores. According to the preliminary SIT reports, the rapid lifestyle upgrades were allegedly funded by systematically pilfering cash and valuables directly from the temple donation boxes. Reports say that CCTV footage from the counting room found 70 instances of theft. Moving on now, the probe in the shocking Pune fort murder case is gathering more steam, and here's what the latest is in this case. The accused, Sia Goyal and Chetan Chaudhary, went to Udaipur before Sia's engagement with the victim, Chetan Chaudhary. The accused have been sent to police custody till the 3rd of July now. The police claim that the accused deleted WhatsApp conversations and even cleared their phone recycle bins in an alleged bid to erase the evidence. A key piece of evidence under examination is what investigators describe as the final phone call that was exchanged between Sia Goyal and Chetan Chaudhary before Chetan died at the Lohagar fort. This development comes a day, remember, after investigators took the two accused to the fort to recreate the sequence of events. Earlier, the police reconstructed every stage of this incident, starting from the routes that were taken, identifying the spot and the positions of the accused, and mapping the events leading up to Ketan Agarwal's death. The Lonavala Rural Police have also seized the two-wheeler that was allegedly used by Chetan to travel from Pune to the fort, and also recovered the hoodie and the headphones that he was reportedly wearing on the day of the murder. Both the vehicle and the clothing have been sent for forensic examination. The probe yielded fresh results, remember, as Sia is said to have disclosed the complete sequence of the alleged conspiracy and her role in the crime. Her statement that has been recorded on tape is set to be produced before the court. Remember, 25-year-old realtor Ketan Agarwal was allegedly pushed off a cliff at the Lohagarh fort on the 18th of June. His fiancée, Sia Goyal, and her alleged lover, Chetan Chaudhary, are now accused of planning and executing his killing. Shifting our focus now to global updates, Venezuela is reeling from the after effects of two devastating earthquakes. Thousands are feared to be trapped. And the South American country is not alone. Remember, across the globe, countries like Japan, the Philippines, and Nicaragua were also struck by major earthquakes last week. This has brought to focus the major seismic zone of the Pacific Ring of Fire, as it is called. Our next report gets you all the details. Take a look.
Back-to-back earthquakes have left behind a trail of destruction in Venezuela. Several structures collapsed, leaving countless trapped and streets covered with debris. Rescue teams are racing against time to pull survivors from the rubble. While 1,450 persons have died, thousands are believed to be missing. But last week witnessed a spate of other earthquakes too. For instance, a 6.9 magnitude earthquake hit northern Japan, causing tremors across the region. Similarly, a 6.5 magnitude earthquake struck near southern Philippines, whereas Nicaragua registered a 5.2 magnitude earthquake with no significant damage being reported. Is there a link between these earthquakes? The Venezuelan quake originates from the Caribbean tectonic region, where the Caribbean plate interacts with the South American plate. Though unrelated, the other earthquakes took place within the Pacific Ring of Fire, one of the most active geological zones. The Ring of Fire is a massive 40,000-kilometer-long ring of volcanoes and tectonic plate boundaries, where 81% of the world's earthquakes occur. It stretches from the southern tip of South America to New Zealand. As per estimates, over 450 volcanoes dot the region, such as Mount Fuji of Japan. The Alpide earthquake belt is another key seismic zone that accounts for 17% of the world's largest earthquakes. It extends from the coast of northern Africa all the way to Indonesia. One of the most destructive earthquakes in this belt was the 9.1 magnitude earthquake off Sumatra's coast that triggered a tsunami. The third prominent seismic belt is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. While most of the ridge is deep underwater and far from human development, Iceland has experienced earthquakes as large as 6.9 magnitude. Meanwhile, large cracks were seen on Trinidad's southwestern coastline in the aftermath of Venezuela's earthquakes. Locals claimed that parts of the shoreline had been elevated as high as 20 feet above water.
Because fish are a lot. So now I come and watching the coastline, I say, right, the place nice and sunny, I watch up, I watching down, but when I watching down, you know, I find like, I kind of feeling kind of, you know, something strange. Anyway. When I watch, I see, because the whole place rise up, well, at least that portion.
Amid this, a 4.6 magnitude aftershock hit north of Venezuela's capital, Caracas, on Monday. However, no damage was immediately reported. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Well, let's talk about the weather now. The heat wave in Europe is showing no signs of abating. As per reports, 130 million people across the continent saw temperatures hovering over 35 degrees Celsius on Monday. The World Health Organization has now revealed that at least 162 people on an average have died in Europe in just the last 8 days due to this heat wave. Take a look at this report for more.
As Europe continues to sizzle under a searing heatwave, WHO underscored its human toll. It recorded over 1,300 excess deaths since June 21st linked to high temperatures in Europe. That's a staggering 162 deaths per day. It also warned that Europe is the fastest warming continent on Earth, heating at twice the global average. In wake of this, it urged EU nations to implement action plans as part of a broader agenda to protect health against climate change. France alone reported roughly 1,000 excess deaths between June 24th and June 27th. While 85% of the deceased were aged 65 or older, a particularly sharp increase in deaths at home was observed. As hundreds of people seek relief from scorching temperatures by jumping into rivers and lakes, drowning deaths have gone up massively, especially among children. For instance, France's Interior Minister revealed that at least 74 people have drowned since June 18th. Last summer, the country recorded over 1,418 drowning incidents, which was a 14% rise from 2024. Deaths among teenagers aged 13 to 17 more than doubled. UK also reported 7 such deaths amid the current heatwave. According to the Royal Life Saving Society, child drowning deaths in London alone have surged by 80% since 2023. Amid this, Poland recorded its highest ever temperature on Sunday, surpassing a national record that stood for over a century, with temperatures reaching 40.5 degrees Celsius. Similarly, Germany set a new national heat record for the third day in a row on Sunday, with a weather station logging 41.7 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, fans queuing for a Bruno Mars concert in Berlin were in for a pleasant surprise as police used water cannons to cool them down.
For some of us, it was the first time.
For some of us, it was the first time visiting Berlin, and it was unexpected for us that the weather could be in Berlin so hot. And we are really lucky. We really like to stay in this area in such weather because it's a really big surprise.
Ukraine's capital city Kyiv also sweltered at 34 degrees Celsius, but locals asserted that the rest of Europe is having it worse.
In comparison to Europe, we don't have it as bad. They have a real dome of heat there, while we have it a bit easier after all.
Meanwhile, Italy's largest river, Po, is starting to run dry in the heat wave. This has raised fears of a devastating drought in July. This can impact a region that produces milk for Italy's well-known Parmesan cheese. Bureau Report, World is One.
Moving on, comedian Bill Maher has received the 2026 Mark Twain Prize at the Kennedy Center. It is considered the highest honor in American comedy. But US President Donald Trump remains the biggest talking point. And why is that? Well, because the ceremony quickly turned into a commentary on America's political climate at the moment. The award ceremony took place against the backdrop of an ongoing legal and political dispute over the Kennedy Center. Donald Trump reshaped its leadership after returning to office. A federal judge later ordered Trump's name be removed from the building. The planned 2-year closure of the venue also remains on hold at the moment. Maher and Trump have shared a contentious relationship for more than a decade now. In 2013, Trump sued Bill Maher over a comedy joke, though the lawsuit was later dropped. Earlier this year, Trump said that meeting Maher had been a waste of time, while Maher continued to criticize the president's policies and rhetoric. Their long-running rivalry made Maher's honor at a venue closely associated with Trump. While Whitney Cummings, remember Jay Leno, and Woody Harrelson took light-hearted jabs at Trump, Maher largely avoided direct attacks in his acceptance speech. In fact, Bill Maher said that anyone who stays in public life long enough will eventually face criticism. The event highlighted the growing overlap between politics, culture, and satire in the United States. As the Kennedy Center remains the subject of legal challenges and political debate, remember this event underscored how comedy continues to serve as a platform for public commentary. They say it's not the mountain you conquer, but yourself. Here's a story that's less about royalty and more about resilience. Britain's Princess of Wales, Catherine or Kate, completed one of the country's toughest endurance tests, the National Three Peaks Challenge, all while being a cancer survivor. Now, this challenge is no ordinary hike. It involves scaling the highest mountains in Scotland, England and Wales: Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike and Snowdon, all within just 24 hours. That's nearly 37 kilometers of hiking, over 3,000 meters of climbing, and a test of both physical strength and mental grit. But for Kate Middleton, this journey, remember, wasn't about setting records. It was about reclaiming life after one of her biggest personal battles, following her cancer diagnosis last year and her remission. Earlier this year, the princess said that the challenge became a symbol of recovery, determination and hope. She in fact also used the trek to raise awareness and funds for cancer care, shining a spotlight on the realities of recovery long after treatment ends. But what's perhaps most remarkable is that she completed the challenge quietly, without fanfare, accompanied only by safety teams on the mountains. And only after reaching the final summit was she greeted by Prince William, their children, and close family members. Looking at Kate's achievement, here's a reminder that sometimes the greatest climbs aren't just up mountains. They're the ones that help people find their way back after life's toughest battles. All right, shifting our focus now, with temperatures soaring to record levels this month, a new heatwave accessory has taken the center stage. It's called the Sunbrella. From runways to front rows, from celebrity events to sports gatherings, celebrities wielding umbrellas to shield themselves from the sun is now a common sight. At the Austrian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton was seen holding a Ferrari red umbrella, and at the Dior show during Paris Fashion Week, James Marsden and Mike Feist were seen with cream umbrellas. With temperatures climbing above 40 degrees Celsius across much of France at the moment, the umbrella has become the new go-to accessory, it seems. In a runway sighting at the Milan Fashion Week, models held grey and white striped golf-style umbrellas. These umbrellas have swiftly become a year-round accessory, and heat waves have also led to its resurgence. But that's not all. Variations of the humble accessory, including anti-UV umbrellas, are also making their way to the counters. While the heat waves have turned everyone toward the umbrella, the rainy season staple has made its presence felt in the fashion world for years. In India, the iconic Jagannath temple in Pune observed the annual Devasnana Purnima, a major ritual that precedes the Rath Yatra during the festival. The sibling deities are ceremonially bathed as devotees offer prayers. Take a look at the visuals from the annual festival. Let's talk about football now. Hong Myung-bo has quit as South Korea manager after the disappointing group stage exit from the FIFA World Cup. This brings an end to his second stint in charge of the national side. Hong, remember, took full responsibility for the early exit for failing to emulate their 2022 campaign, in which they progressed out of the group stage before falling 4-1 to Brazil in the round of 16. He's in fact also apologized to the fans. Hong, in a statement, said, and I quote him, "I would like to sincerely apologize to the citizens who have loved Korean football and always supported the national team. Accepting this role was never an easy decision for me. However, Once I made that decision, I did not consider any other reasons. I believed my only task was to fulfill the responsibility entrusted to me till the end. I failed to deliver the results the public expected. The responsibility lies entirely with me. Hong also stepped down immediately after the 2014 World Cup, following the team's worst display in the tournament since 1998. His exit follows a harsh condemnation from the country's president, Lee Jae-myung. The president has said, and I am quoting him here, "Once again, it has been proven that personal decisions determine everything. If loyalty and factionalism are valued over competence and an incapable person is appointed as a leader, the outcome is as predictable as fire." President Lee Jae-myung has also called for an investigation into the reasons behind the team's disappointing performance. Remember, the Koreans started with a 2-1 win over the Czech Republic, but losses to Mexico and South Africa left them needing results in other groups to go their way to progress to the next phase of the competition. Our World Cup hero of the day is none other than Stephen Eustachio today, who became the unlikely hero for Canada, scoring the most important goal in the country's history. Born in Leamington, Ontario on the 21st of December in 1996, Eustachio's story begins in a small Canadian town with a big Portuguese heart. His parents, Armando Esmeralda, had emigrated from Portugal, settling in a community where the Portuguese families gathered and children played football on the streets. When Stephen was just 7, the family moved back to Portugal, and that is where football took over his life. After a tough few years, he eventually earned a move to Portuguese giants FC Porto, which is one of Europe's most storied clubs, where he won the league title and over 150 appearances. Portugal had noticed him too. He played for their under-21s and could easily have worn their colours at senior level as well. Instead, in 2019, he chose Canada, the country of his birth, and became the heartbeat of their midfield. Then came the grief. In April 2023, he was pulled off at half-time during a Porto match, and he told his mother, Esmeralda, had died of brain cancer. A year later, his father, Armando, suffered a sudden heart attack. Eustachio's story is straight out of a movie, and he isn't done yet. In fact, he's far from it. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas. But before we go, we're leaving you with some interesting visuals from around the world today. Take a look. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Bye-bye. Good night.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
The robot can certainly help assist performing tasks, but we have certainly not reached the stage where they can become completely autonomous.
robot is doing the surgery, what are you going to do? They think that the surgeon is going to sit and have tea in the corner while the robot is operating. It's not like that. The surgeon himself is in total control of the surgery. The doctor can overrule the robot any